Hi ladies, it's Victoria. Thanks so much for coming back to my channel. Though I guess I really need to stop saying ladies because I do have several guys who watch my channel now that comment and who send me messages. So hi everyone, thanks so much for coming back to my channel. I wanted to do the Q&A video that I've been promising you guys. Sorry, I'm going to take the gum out of my mouth. That's not very nice. I also have a couple other videos. I'm going to do the Jamberry nail review as well, so keep an eye out for that. But today I'm going to do the Q&A. I wrote down a bunch of the questions that I've gotten through email, on Instagram, on my messages, private message, etc. So I'm going to answer some of those videos for you guys now. So I've kind of broken them up. The first category is about being a mom or IVF, things related to that. Since that's what my channel is about, I thought we'd start there. So several people actually asked me what I'm most looking forward to about being a mom. And there's so many things that I'm looking forward to. Holding them for the first time, caring for them, watching them grow and develop as their own people, encouraging them. But I think what I'm most looking forward to about being a mom is having a crazy busy day and the kitchen's a mess and there's toys everywhere and my husband's trying to play with one of our children on the floor and I'm doing homework with another one at the table, and just being able to step back and appreciate my life and my role, and I'm just excited, if that makes any sense at all. But I'm most looking forward to the life of a mom, I think, and the joy that that brings. And yeah, there are going to be struggles and there are going to be bad days, but I've waited so long for this that I can't imagine I won't be able to find the good in most of it. Ashley asked me what I'm most afraid of about being a mom. And I think, like anyone who wants to be a parent or even who is a parent, you have a lot of fears. Um, of course, I'm afraid for their safety and making sure that I make the right decisions for them and that I do the best that I can. But I think the thing that I'm most afraid of is, again, like I said about the decisions, is not making the right choice. You always want to do what's best for your child, and you're going to make mistakes, but I'm just so afraid to make those mistakes. Again, we've tried so hard to get to that point that I just want to do the very best that I can. Bree asked, what have I learned going through this IVF process up until this point? Um, I've learned a lot. I think, like all of us going through this journey, you can spout information about a cycle or ovaries or the uterus or embryos or medications, and you don't even know where it comes from. You've just learned so much about that. And I think most importantly, though, what I've learned going through the IVF process is that there's always another step. Even though IVF is the end all be all right now, there are so many things that you can still do within IVF that you have to maintain your hope and be your best advocate. I've definitely learned to speak up for myself during this process. Michael asked what the hardest part about IVF is. And I think I'm going to split that up because there's a lot of aspects to IVF, but really physically and emotionally, they're very different. So physically, the hardest part about IVF is all of the stress buildup and how it affects you, I think. The shots don't bother me. The egg retrieval doesn't bother me. I don't mind any of the symptoms. Those things don't bother me, but the stress buildup does. It affects me physically. And I think that's been the hardest part for me physically, is dealing with my stress and how it manifests itself in my body, whether it's just the exhaustion or the achy body or just being quick to get angry about things. That's definitely been the most difficult part for me physically. And emotionally, the hardest part about IVF is all of the unknown and the constant fear about what's next and what's going to happen and what that next phone call is going to be. It kind of also deals with stress, but just the emotional side of it. Um, all the unknown has been the hardest part for me. That's a good question though, Michael. Um, Evan asked, what has surprised you the most about this IVF process? That's a really, really good question. I'm one of those people who wants to go into anything I'm doing with eyes wide open. I want to know everything about it, everything that they might do, everything that they might need. Um, so I've tried to research things as best I could. So the most surprising part about IVF, I think actually has been the relationships that I've lost because of it and the relationships that I've gained because of it. I've made so many new friends through YouTube, through Instagram. I have an amazing group of people who support me, and it's all because of going through IVF and this TTC journey, and I'm so grateful for that. But it's also surprised me the people that I've lost, and I've kind of talked about this in other videos, but um, there's one couple that we were very good friends with, and I'm still not sure in their own words what happened, but they experienced a situation in their lives, and they're very, very religious, which I don't judge anyone for, but because of those things, because of their experience and because of their religion, um, they don't talk to us anymore. And we were very close. We hung out multiple times a week, and it's been really, really hard for me. We've tried to ask several times what's going on, but they just deny that there's a problem. And I think it really surprises me that IVF has drilled this deep ravine between us and several people in our lives. Um, the people really who I thought were going to be most supportive, even if they didn't agree, I thought that they would be very supportive, and I guess that's been kind of surprising for me. I don't know if you guys have had any experience with that, but I think it's something everyone should know going into IVF. It's definitely a possibility, and you kind of have to prepare for it. Let's see. Karen asked me how, she said, sorry, I was trying to figure out what I wrote. Karen asked, how is your relationship? Um, she said, I know you guys are different. How do you keep it strong? So Jason's and my relationship is still very, very good. And yeah, you guys know if you've watched our videos, we do differ on our beliefs and our ability to process things and emotionally how we handle things. We couldn't be any more opposite in some of those areas. So that is difficult. We have our fights. We have our moments where I just don't understand him and I just want to shake him, and I'm sure he feels the same about me. He's a little bit more quiet about it than I am. I tend to like to want to address these things and handle them. So how do we keep it strong? Communication. And we're still learning this. We're not perfect at it. We're not even good at it sometimes by any means. We have our moments where we're both kind of stewing in our own corners and we don't talk about what's going on. But we've really tried to work on that, and we try to take care of anything that's bothering us, regardless of how minute and ridiculous it seems, right away, so that we don't get ourselves into a situation where we have some huge falling out over nothing. Because a lot of times it's those little tiny things that keep adding up, and then it's something absolutely ridiculous like forgetting to pick up your plate after dinner that tips the scale off the edge, and it turns into an all-out fight. So we've just tried really hard to be really open and honest and have good communication and spend time together, even if it's just cuddling on the couch. For me, that physical contact of just being together really calms me and centers me and gets me back into a good place. So we really try to do that. And we also take the opportunity to talk to other people, and kind of share our joy and our frustration and our concerns with an outside party who can really kind of help us wrangle everything back together and, you know, just keep our relationship strong. So I definitely recommend finding at least one person that you can have a strong support system with who can help you through these things. And then Lynn asked on the line of Jason what the hardest part is for him. And I wish he was home so he could answer this question, but I feel pretty comfortable answering this for him. I think the hardest part for Jason has been knowing how to deal with me. And not that I've been a bear. He'll be the first one to tell you that I do extremely well on the medications. But I think the hardest part for him has been watching me. And since I deal with things so much deeper than he does, and I feel things on a much deeper level than he does, sometimes I think that's been the hardest part for him, is knowing how to take care of me and what to say and what not to say, and knowing when the ball's about to drop and when the floor is going to fall out from under me. So I think that's really been hard for him. Sometimes, I mean, he's really good about it. He can kind of sense that I'm getting just overly anxious or having a really hard time before I even can sometimes, and he'll do his best to kind of work me through it before I fall apart. But I would think that's been the hardest part for him. He feels helpless in this whole thing sometimes, and I know that he wishes there was more that he could do. So that's a good question, though. I think a lot of times when there's only one person who's got the major problems for fertility, we forget about the other person that's involved. And this is just as hard for him, even if it's in different ways. He still has a hard time with it. So those are my IVF mom questions, and I'm answering as many as I can, but there are still others. So I'll try to get to those in another video. But the next section is kind of more personal questions about my life and not necessarily related to TTC. So Fiona asked where I live, and obviously I'm not going to give you guys my address. Not that I don't trust you guys. I think you guys are all wonderful, but you never know when you put that stuff out on the internet. But I live in a community in Chester County, which is outside of Philadelphia by about half an hour, 40 minutes, depending on which part of Philadelphia you want to get to. I love this area. I love the school districts, but I'm very over winter. So yeah, I live in Pennsylvania outside of Philadelphia in, kind of a suburban type community. Abby asked, talking about living places, if I could live anywhere, where would it be? And I would live down south somewhere. My brother is actually moving next month to Orlando, Florida, and I have friends down there, and I wouldn't mind getting myself down there either. It would be wonderful. I'm over winter at 30 years old, and it's not like I'm old, I'm not saying that, but I'm ready for nice weather and sunshine and the beach. So I would probably live somewhere warm, and it needs to be near my family. So Orlando, Florida-ish area. What pets do you have? And Cindy asked me that question. We have 2 dogs, and I tried to get them over here before I started this video, but they're both sleeping because they're lazy butts because it's raining today. So we have 2 dogs. I have a almost 3-year-old Gordon Setter, and he's my dog, but both of our dogs have kind of picked one of us. So he's mine, and his name is Cooper, and he's absolutely beautiful, and he's the sweetest dog on the planet. He is my 70-pound lap dog who thinks you should carry him everywhere, and I love him to death. And we also have a 6.5-year-old puggle, which is a pug beagle mix, named Bailey, and she is definitely my husband's dog. She only tolerates me because I feed her sometimes. And we will never get another one. I love her, and even though I threatened that there are days that I would get rid of her, I would never do that. But everyone that I know who's had a puggle, and I'm not saying it's all of them, but a majority of them have the worst traits of the beagle and the worst traits of the pug, and she's been impossible to house train. She's very vindictive. It's kind of ridiculous. If we have people over to our house, this is the best example. If we have people over to the house for dinner or whatever, and people are hanging out and she feels like she's not getting attention, she will actually jump on people's laps or walk over to their feet and pee on them. And it has happened several times, and it's embarrassing. It's mortifying, but that's this dog, and she's crazy, but she's ours, so we're gonna keep her. How long have you been married and what was your wedding like? Quinn asked that. I have been married for 4 years, legally 4 years, and I talked about this a long time ago in one of my original videos, but I have obviously so many new subscribers since then. So my husband and I got married February 18th, 4 years ago, in the courthouse with our parents and our siblings there. We were already engaged, and I found out that I was going to have surgery, and I couldn't get benefits with my current job, and we couldn't afford to do it on our own because of my pre-existing conditions. That was before Obamacare, obviously. So we decided just to get married at the courthouse, and that's what we did. And then May 19th, we got married the following year, so 15 months later. So legally 4 years, but our wedding anniversary is coming up in May, and that'll be 3 years. So it's kind of funny. And what was my wedding like? I loved my wedding. We got married at a country club, and the day couldn't have been more beautiful. We did kind of like a vintage 50s theme. Our centerpieces were like books and vintage mason jars and these vintage like bud holders that I'd collected from all over the place. Our colors were blue and gray and yellow, and I loved it. We had a lot of ridiculous things happen though. Like for example, the Kardashians took our hotel rooms. The area that we live in is where QVC is. I'm sure you guys know what that is. And whenever celebrities come to do something on QVC, they always stay at this one hotel, which happens to be where we were staying, and everything. Not our reception wasn't there, but we were coming back there afterwards, and we were having brunch there the next day and whatever. And all of our guests were staying there, and we were staying there. And the night before my wedding, I found out that since we had requested to be on the key access only floor and the Kardashians had shown up, that they'd taken our whole floor and we no longer had rooms, which was a huge other story and another fight, but we ended up getting rooms, but it was a mess. But yeah, so it was Kris Jenner, Kylie, and Khloe were there, and I don't blame them. I did see Kris Jenner out in the front lobby, and she's absolutely beautiful in person. So I was kind of like, oh my gosh, it's Kris Jenner. But at the time, it was not so much fun, but now it's a really funny story. But all the things that could possibly go wrong, they almost forgot our transportation. They charged us the morning of my wedding for hotel rooms that they shouldn't have. Yeah, our driver smelled like he'd been drinking. Our flowers were completely messed up. They forgot our box to put our envelopes in from our grandparents. It's just like, but nobody knew these things except Jason and I. So it ended up just being funny things. And it's just proof that all that really matters at the end of the day is that you're married. And our day was beautiful, and I love it. And one of these days I want to put up the summary from our wedding so you guys can see it. So stay tuned for that. So thank you for asking, Quinn. I could talk about that all day. So then I kind of picked a couple of really fun questions to answer for you guys. So the first one is, would you rather? And who asked me this? Emily. Emily asks, would you rather grow a unicorn horn when you're embarrassed or break into a silly dance when you're sad? That's a really good question. I think it'd be really funny to sprout a unicorn horn, but I get embarrassed a lot. So, and I think breaking into a silly dance when you're sad would make you happy. So I'm going to say breaking into a silly dance when I'm sad. Good question, Emily. Um, let's see. So Allie asked, tacos, crunchy or soft? Good question, Allie. I'm a huge taco fan. And I like crunchy tacos. Sorry guys, but I do. My husband likes soft tacos, so whenever we buy taco kits, it's always the two different kinds because I like the crunchy ones. If you could sing one song on American Idol, what would it be? Asks Logan. Thank you for asking, Logan. And yeah, I probably wouldn't sing a song on American Idol because I can't sing. Oh, I mean, I sing, but no one wants to hear it, trust me. But I guess if I was singing on American Idol, it would be because I had the talent to sing on American Idol. So, in that case, that's a really good question. I'd probably want to sing some like powerhouse ballad by like Aretha Franklin or something and just dance all over the stage and be crazy. That would be fun. Um, Adam asks, if you could be a box of cereal, what would you be and why? Well, Adam, there's only a couple of cereals that I really like. I don't know. If I was a box of cereal, probably Crispix, just because they taste really good and because there's two sides to them, which I like that. So it's not just one thing. You can be more than one thing. And yeah, so I think I'd be Crispix because I like to eat them a lot. Let's see. Yeah. And I guess that's it, guys. So those are all the questions that I picked for today. But if you have more, feel free to leave them down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys in my next one.